Good morning, friends. The awakened. Just now we are listening to the story of an awakened saint, Swami Kripamayananda. What really is awakening? The famous verse of the Gita says, Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarti samyami. Samyami is the one who is self-controlled, who is striving for perfection. And the verse says, where the whole world sleeps, where it is dark night and sleepy time for the whole world, these people who strive to wake up, for them is the waking time. They have woken up there. What does this verse means? What this waking up from the sleep is? Why the world is felt to be asleep? Where is that sleepiness? So in that way the verse says, we all are in a mode of sleep. We are unaware of the reality and act as if we are in sleep, not knowing anything. We have not woken up. What happens when we wake up? We wake up to the reality. The world, as it seems to us, is like a dream. It's so much confusing. We don't understand what happens in this world. It seems to be so conflicts in everything, so much of confusion. We try to treat someone in our own way. Something goes wrong. Why it happens this way? Why there is so much misunderstanding? Why there is so much mistreatment? Why is there ill treatment for others? Why is there so much of pain and suffering? Where is God? Where is that all merciful, all kind, all just, that being who controls us? So all this seems to be like an enigma to us. We don't understand. Why we don't understand? Why we are in so much confusion? Why we find this world so much a place of suffering? Because we are in sleep. We have not woken up. Only to those who wake up to the reality, to them there is no confusion, there is no conflict. Swami Vivekananda was a great devout of God from his very young boyhood. And he used to pray to God. He was a very extraordinary person, born with very divine qualities. That light we are seeing when Adbhutanandaji saw light in Shiva, that light filled the whole temple when he went to deep meditation, and that light entered into him. It happened when he was practicing meditation under the blessing and guidance of Sri Ramakrishna and Shiva temple. When he was grown up, what happened to Swami Vivekananda? Swami Vivekananda from his very childhood, before going to sleep, he used to see light in his forehead. And that light used to become larger and larger, and then he used to fill all of himself, and it will be burst, and he will fall asleep. If this light is a symbol of spiritual awareness, how Swami Vivekananda, as small Narendranath, grew up with this awareness. He always saw that light. He awoke in the sleep, as it were. So it must have been very deep sleep, though it was not samadhi as Swami Adbhutananda experienced, when you totally forget the external appearance. Swami Adbhutananda was all perspiring. We cannot stand little heat or little cold. If it is little cold, we want, why heater is not on today? Little we want to sit to meditation, and our whole mind is focused that it is cold in the hall or in the temple or in the church. Or it's too hot today. Why didn't they put on the air condition? And these men of Samyami, controlled mind, Swami Adbhutananda, he was meditating, perspiring the whole body, and he was lost to the external world. He had woken up inside in the awareness of God. Swami Vivekananda sat for meditation in Kashipur. You know how Bengal is full of mosquitoes. And he was sitting, bare-bodied, warm weather, and he went deep into samadhi. And they say it was Nirvikalpa samadhi. And what happened? Girish Chandra goes and sees what Swami Vivekananda is covering in this hot weather. What is blanket, black blanket? He goes near and finds no black blanket. It was full of mosquitoes eating his body. He was covered with mosquitoes. But where was Swami Vivekananda's awareness that time? He was not asleep in the waking state of the world. He was awoke in the reality of spirit. That is the awakening. When we are aware of our real nature, that we are that pure consciousness. We are that witness. We are that bliss. When we are aware of that, that is the awakening. When you are asleep in this multifarious, this multiformed world, and see only the varieties, only the differentiation, only you, only I and the world, then we are asleep and we are dreaming. What will happen if we wake up? Then also we'll be seeing this dream, but we will not be affected by the dream. There will be no one whom we will hate. There will be no one who can injure us mentally. People may try to insult or say bad things. We will be not affected because we know the reality. When we wake up, we start seeing the things in a deeper way. For example, someone comes and does something to me. I feel annoyed, insulted, bad. I react. It means I am not awake. If I am awake, I will try to see deeper into the behavior of that man. Instead of just giving vent to my reaction or absence of what I expected from him, giving reaction to that, I will try to see why that person reacted that way with a cool mind. Then I'll find something is there in that person. He is frustrated. He doesn't know how to behave. He is ignorant. Or she is made like that by the nature. I will have no reaction for that person. Then I am awakening to the reality. Just closing eyes to the reality, then we react much to the world. Swami Vivekananda, that incident, when he came to Chicago and wearing turban, wearing ochre robes, people never saw a person wearing turban that time. We never saw people wearing other than pant and shirt. There were perhaps no t-shirt at that time. Only pant, shirt, tie and coat was the dress. And here is a man wearing orange throughout and wearing a big turban. And one person comes and pulls Swamiji's turban from behind. Swami Vivekananda turns back and says, "Why are you doing that, sir?" He says, "Oh, you speak English, but why are you dressed in this strange way?" That he asked. Swamiji explained. But Swamiji later on says, that person was a gentleman. He had no any ill feeling towards that person, Swami Vivekananda, though that person tried to insult in that way physically. And he said that person was a gentleman, but his fellow feeling was limited only to the people wearing his own type of dress. He was narrow-minded. He couldn't accept other type of dress. And Swami Vivekananda took it so nicely. Just he tried to understand the mind of that person. What would happen if we are going and sometimes someone pushes us on the way? We'll be just furious. We'll reach to our cell phone, 911, insulting some person. Similar thing happened to Swami Vivekananda. One person pushed him because he was wearing strange dress. Swami Vivekananda again forced back and then called that man, "Sir, why are you behaving that way?" Then that man was afraid, scared. "Oh, you speak such a nice English, but I was just uncomfortable with the dress." "But why should you be uncomfortable? You dress according to your liking, I dress according to my liking." Swami Vivekananda was not angry, was not hateful, was not disturbed by that person. He just tried to face and try to understand. Those who wake up try to see the things in a deeper way. If we try to analyze things in a deeper way, that happens to us in regard to the others' treatment for us, in regard to what we get from the circumstances, from the environment, from God, we will find that there is a meaning in everything. There is goodness in everything. Even in disease and sickness, there is some meaning in the thing that we get. All the sufferings we get, there is a definite meaning that we can see if we wake up to the reality. We are asleep, we have our own ideas, and then we forget, we are unaware, we are caught in the sleep. So, this we need to wake up to the reality where the world sleeps. World only sees and goes on the surface. Dive deep and you will find the meaning in everything that happens to you in life. There are people who say, oh, I thought this is going to happen, but I find there is God who takes care of everything. Some people insult, there is meaning behind that. If you try to find the meaning, what it might have happened. Just we need to understand the meaning. Two persons were going and wanted to buy a ticket of a bus. And one front and behind two friends. So the friend in front said, give me the front seat of the bus. It was in India. So the clerk in the counter said, front seats are already sold. This person said, how it can be sold? It's just the morning where the first to come and you already said it's sold. There was no this advance booking or something. And the quarrel started between that clerk and this passenger. It was getting very hot and that person said, what are you saying? Am I cheating? Am I a liar? What do you mean? Like that it was just fomenting the quarrel. The man standing behind that, the friend of this passenger, he marked something and that clerk on the window became just, oh, totally everything changed. What this man behind said, just he said, give me that my friend in front of me who is talking with you is a little crazy fellow. Just he said. That would totally the scenario changed. The man in the window, the clerk in the window, which started behaving very well and said, yes, but it is behaved and his anger was gone. Why it happened? I'm giving this example to say that when we try to understand the person who is doing something to us or with whom we are dealing his or her circumstances, if we try to understand, then we can learn a lot about that. And our reaction will be changed. Our relation will be changed with that person. So, only we think about only ourselves, that how he should behave or she should behave with me. That idea, that expectation, that heals us. That makes all the difference. If we try to see in the personality of the person, is he frustrated? Was she having some trouble? Was there some difficulty at home when your colleague comes in the office and treats you some behavior, it's not the same person as you saw, something happening. So instead of blaming that person, why this person is behaving that way, let us try to see what might have happened. Think about him. Then instead of ill feeling will come the sympathy. So this all comes if we try to spiritualize the problem that we face. Instead of seeking the secular worldly solution, trying to complain to the boss. Oh, that man, that person, that woman is not behaving properly today. Go and complain to the boss. This is the worldly solution, which seldom it have the real, it can make a solution right. Try to have the spiritual solution. Try to find within yourself, how can I deal? What might have happened with that? That person is good. Then we are slowly trying to wake up to the reality within me and within that person. One such person who had woken up to the reality was Buddha. Buddha's birthday is the day after tomorrow, on 17th of May. This year it falls that day. It's called Vaishakh, the Purnima in the month of Vaishakh. And we are celebrating on 22nd of May and it is a Sunday. Buddha was also, when he was born, people saw him and said, oh, he had so many great qualities. Either he is going to become a great emperor, monarch, or he might be a very great spiritual founder of a religion, spiritual person. King thought he must be a great monarch. I don't want to be him to be ascetic, a monk, great monk, however great it might be. King wants his son to be a great king. And monks, what they do? They want Amayantu Brahmacharina Swaha. Monks want people, good persons to come and join and be the good monks. That's what it happens. A very good doctor wants his son to be a doctor, an engineer wants his son to be an engineer. So this king naturally wanted, because that's also not a sign of unawakening. Monks see that this person, if he becomes a monk, having the good qualities, he will do much good to the world and good to himself. He will get to the reality, awake to the reality and experience the extreme bliss. But for a person who has limited idea of the happiness, he thinks becoming a king alone is the greatest happiness in the world. He thinks that his son to be a great king, greater than myself. That was the Suddhodana, king of Siddhartha, father of Siddhartha. He said, my son to be a great monarch. And the astrologer had said, if he sees some suffering in the world, he will give up the world and go in search of suffering. How to get rid of suffering, that was Buddha's mission. And he was kept in the palace. When he grew up, then he got married to a beautiful girl. Whatever luxury and happiness of the world could give was given to him. As Nachiketa went to heaven with Yama and asked, Sir, is there afterlife? Is soul immortal? Is it ever existing, or everything dies with the death? Yama said, don't ask this question about this metaphysics. What happens, soul is immortal or not? Try to enjoy the world. I'll give you this beautiful dancing girl, these nice chariots, lot of very long life, as long as you want to live, and big plot of land, however big you want. You don't have to, take from the people also. So I'll give you as much as you want, but don't ask this question. So he gave the worldly pleasure and whatever a man can seek in the world. Whatever, how much ever, long life and the good wealth. What will people want? And I'll give that. Nachiketa said, no, I don't want that. I want to know about the soul, whether it exists or not. And you said, very difficult question. Even gods do not know this. Having got you as the teacher, Yama, I must get answer to this question. Take your chariots and dance to yourself. I don't want anything. Buddha, what he did? Buddha also, Suddhodana, this Siddhartha, he said he was kept inside even all the luxuries of life. And one day Buddha, when he was 18, 19 years old, or still older, then he went out to see another city in the kingdom. The king had said he should not see any scene of any suffering. But what happened that day itself on the street was a man in very great suffering with disease. He was lying on the roadside. He asked Chandaka, the charioteer, what is this man doing? Why is he suffering? Oh, he is sick. He has disease. Disease? Man has disease? Man suffers like this? Yes, my lord. Everyone suffers in life like this. Diseases come and people suffer. Oh, I will also suffer. My father will also suffer. My wife will also suffer. Yes, when disease comes, everyone suffers. Man's human body is prone to disease. He came back very shackled, shattered with this new idea that there is suffering out of disease. Another goes out. One man was old and walking with a staff, very tottering, not able to walk. He asked Chandaka, what is this? This man is in trouble. Yes, it is the old age. In old age, organ becomes weak, limb becomes weak, energy becomes less, and one has to suffer like that. Oh, old age, great suffering. The third day he goes, he finds a dead body being carried. Why that man is lying on the bed? He is not lying, sir, he is dead, Chandaka said. Oh, there is death. This all will go. Every day it was a new revelation for Buddha. Already very pure mind. Was very kind-hearted. Buddha was very kind-hearted from his very birth. You know the story of his one cousin shot to a swan in the sky, and Buddha got that arrow-shot bird, and he took out the arrow and treated. And cousin said, I shot the bird, it's mine. Buddha said, no, I treated it, it's mine, and I will set it free. So Buddha was always so kind, and he was the king of son of a king. So that Buddha, when he saw these three scenes, he was totally sad. There is a lot of suffering in the world. I was being kept in ignorance of this. Fourth day he goes, he finds a very happy man walking in a yellow robe. He said, why this man seems to be so different from others? Why is he so happy? Chandak says, the charioteer says, he is a monk. He has no desire, he has no expectation, he has renounced the world and all worldly enjoyment. So he lives in the bliss of his own real self. Oh, there is a state when can be free from all desires and expectations and worries. Then Buddha thinks, I must find out a way. I see that there is a way. He goes, gives up, renounces his kingdom, goes quietly at the dead of night from the house with this Chandak. Chandak, you have to take me from palace. Goes out, gives up his costly robes, cuts his hair, joins a monastery and starts learning. And practices very difficult austerities. In 4 or 5 years of his learning of Vedanta and Upanishad, whatever he learned that time, of the scriptures of Hindus, his body became very emaciated, very thin. And one day, and he was trying to get the truth, is there a way out of this suffering of the world, of this old age, disease, death, how to get rid of this? And he was searching this more than for himself, for the whole humanity. Why is there so much suffering in the world? Is man born only to suffer, or is there a way out from this suffering? Man can live in joy. So, living in suffering is living asleep. Trying to find a way out from suffering is awakening. So Buddha was doing that hard, very hard spiritual practice. One day he found his head was reeling and he will die. But he was not eating properly, he was concentrating fully on the scriptures. That day he found, no, this is not the way. I'm going to die without getting the thing. And that time one person, seeing his austerity, he gathered some disciples. 5 disciples had to come in. Oh, he's very austere, very religious, very spiritual person. Often we combine these austerities with great achievement in religion. You find a person lying on the bed of nails. So how great the person is. He's lying on the bed of nails. Another person, you go to Kumbh and you say, that person 10 years he has not slept. He has never lied down on the bed. Always standing, legs swollen. Great austerity. What a great spiritual person. This is the mortification of the body. Buddha finally realized by his own experiment, this is not the way to realize the truth, not the way to go get rid of suffering, not the way to know the knowledge of the real self. Then, that day, one lady brought one payasam, that milk and rice boiled, and that Buddha ate that. He knew that the goal is to realize the way out of this suffering. Goal is not to mortify the body and die. And he took this Madhyapantha, middle way. Those 5 disciples saw Buddha accepting this payasam, this gruel from the person, and eating that. They said, oh, he has gone to luxury. So they gave up him. Buddha didn't mind that. Then he felt refreshed, energy, but he had come close to realization with his austerities and studies and concentration and meditation. That night he said, I must realize God. I must wake up to the reality. And sat under the bo tree. This bo tree is the people tree that grows in India in the forest, in the common places. And he sat there with the big determination. What a strong willpower he had. And he said, I will sit to die. Let my body, skin, this blood, this flesh and bone dissolve. I will not rise unless I get that bodhi, that knowledge, that experience for which I have been striving. He knew, Buddha at this stage knew that he had been striving for this knowledge through many lives as Bodhisattva. In the previous lives, 500 lives he has been trying. He has always been a very kind person, always working for the good of others. In every life, in every form, he has been doing that. This time he said, I have to realize the truth. What is the reality? And he said, Ihasane shushyatu me shariram tvagam samansang pralayam chayati. Aprapya bodhing bahukalpa durlabam naiva sanat kayamata chalishyate. I will not wake up from this body, I will not stand, I will not get up unless I realize the truth. Let everything dissolve, let bones, skin and flesh all go and dissolve, all will disintegrate. With that determination he sits. And when there is determination and trying to achieve such a great thing, they say Indra becomes very afraid when he finds a man with so great quality and so great determination. Then Indra said, disturb that man from meditation. He's going to realize the truth. How this everyone realizes the truth, how this samsara will go. People have to live in ignorance, then they will feel I and mine, and this whole world, the play of God will go. So Indra sent Mara. Mara is the one who is to disturb people, that they say. But it's hypothetically saying and mythologically saying, but psychologically it is all the desires that are within us, comes as Mara. What came first? First Buddha was, it came rain and thunder and wind, all this came, making Buddha afraid that the twigs started falling, breaking, it may fall and it may die with the fear of death. Buddha was unafraid. He was so strong in determination. He was ready to die to achieve this thing. The life becomes very insignificant if one is in search of that greatness. When he really wants to wake up. Sri Ramakrishna was ready to give up his life if he didn't have the vision of Mother. So when the desire becomes so intense, desire for seeing the reality, knowing the truth becomes so intense, that moment the God comes. Sri Ramakrishna also had the vision of God when he was going to cut his throat with the sword of Mother Kali. Buddha was also ready to die here. Mara came, wind blew, rain fell, storm came, nothing Buddha was doing this. Then Mara said, this is not working. Then he started doing another of his trick to disturb this person. Then the dancers came, women came, damsels came, and they started dancing. Will Buddha be disturbed? Buddha was not disturbed. Finally Mara bowed down to him, I am defeated. Buddha's heart went, the mind went high, and he woke up to the reality. He was asleep to the world. Where the world sleeps, in this seeing this phenomenon, he was in the noumenon. He was in the reality. He woke to the truth. He was in deep samadhi. And he was in the bliss of samadhi. Next morning, Siddhartha became Buddha. He was awakened. Then he was so full of bliss that they say 7 days he couldn't sit or sleep or talk. He just went around and around of that Ashwatha tree, that bo tree. And that very bo tree, now it's not there. The bo tree sample was taken by Ashoka's son to Sri Lanka. And it survived there. And later India's original bo tree died. From that sample, another twig was taken and again planted to the place where Buddha had that wisdom, Bodhi there. Now there is a tree again. So, this then again after that, Mara came and said, Buddha, you have attained the realization. You have attained the God. You have woken up. But can I suggest you one thing? Don't try to give this message to the people. People here are in deep sleep. Don't try to wake them up. They will not wake up. You will fail. So, just be in the bliss. You have woken up. I realize. Please don't tell to anyone. Buddha was determined. He was a world teacher. He said, no. This time again Mara was playing the trick to Buddha. Buddha on his roaming went to Varanasi. And there he found there are 5 persons who had rejected him. They were sitting there. They saw Buddha coming. They all decided, oh, that luxurious fellow who had deviated from the path of austerity is coming. We will not show any respect to that person. When Buddha approached near, they all got up. They saw a glow in the face of Buddha. That happens when a person's mind changes. When he becomes so broad, when he gets up, wakes up from this dream of this world, then his whole countenance changes. Our face is the mirror of the mind. However, whatever our mind is, that is shown in our face. They automatically wake up, get up from the seat, his 5 disciples, and bow down to Buddha. That is the glow. Once when came to one teacher, and teacher said, go, and disciple wanted to learn about Brahman. He said, that will be later, first go and tend my cows and bulls. There are 400, when they become 1,000, then only come back. The disciple goes to forest, it's in the Upanishad, and he tends the cows, and he didn't know how many days went, how many months went, and one day bull says, we are now 1,000, take us to a teacher. From the bull's mouth he hears these things. He counts, yes, it is already 1,000. And he says something about, now I'll teach you something about Brahman. And he tells something about Brahman. Tomorrow, you go towards home, tomorrow the fire will teach you something about Brahman. So he was doing the fire worship, fire for some sound comes. The bull taught you something, today this is Brahman. So like that fire, bird, swan, like that start teaching. When he comes to the teacher with the 1,000 cows, teacher says, my child, your face shines like a Nora Brahman. Who taught you? By seeing the face, the teacher understands. We also feel we are not that great teachers. But we feel that is a very friendly person. That is a very, we can make approachable person. That is a very good person. Don't we feel when you see a person and talk a little with them? This goodness in the heart cannot remain hidden. Similarly, evil in the heart, people try to hide, but ultimately it comes out. But for us, those who really wake up, we don't see goodness or evil in the heart. We want to see what is beyond and behind that. There is always that blessedness, that reality, that soul, ever growing, ever pure, ever blissful, that is ever present in every soul. That we need to penetrate more. Then we will be waking up. Then Buddha comes and he starts first teaching to these 5 persons. And it is said in Sarnath near Varanasi, it started, it is Dharma Chakra Parivartan. You start the rolling of the Dharma Chakra. The Dharma starts being re-established by Buddha, the great teacher. And there he starts teaching. His teachings are contained in Tripitaka. Tripitaka is the books of the Buddha, like our Vedas of Hindus or Bible of the Christians. And in that, the gist of Buddha's teaching is said to be 4 noble truths. Buddha taught there are 4 truths. What are the truths? First he said, there is suffering. There is no denying that you suffer because it's just a dream or you feel like suffering, that's why suffering. He said, no, there is suffering in the world. It is a truth, it is a reality in the world. There is a suffering. The second noble truth, Arya Satya, Chaturarya Satya is called. What is the second truth? Buddha said, there is a cause of suffering. Suffering doesn't exist by itself, it comes as a result of something else. And he says, as the cause, he said, it is Trishna, it is thirst. What thirst? His Pali language is Tanha. Thirst is the desire. Desire for what? Desire for enjoyment of the sense objects, enjoyment of the worldly things, desire for repetition of the desirable experience. That is Trishna. Never quench thirst. You drink water, you feel thirsty after some time. You enjoy something, desire doesn't end with that. You again try to have that. And this thirst or tanha is the cause of suffering. I want this. I want to possess this. I want to experience this. That is the thirst, and that thirst or tanha is the cause of suffering. Then he says, but the third Arya Satya, he says, there is a way out of suffering. Oh, one can be free from desires, from thirst, from wanting to enjoy and possess in the world. He said, yes, there is a way out. So what is the way out, sir? He said, that your question answers the fourth of the noble truth. There is a way for cessation of suffering. There is suffering, there is a cause of suffering, there is a way out of suffering, and way out of suffering are the 8 noble truths, 8 noble paths. So this is called Chaturarya Satya. The affirmation of suffering, the cause of suffering, there is a way to say that suffering can aid, and what are the way to suffering. So practical. Buddha was always, he said, that everything that you need to get rid of suffering in the world is within you. You don't have to pray to God. You don't have to seek something else, support of anyone, anything else. The man is strong enough. If he seeks the power hidden within himself, he can get rid of all the causes that makes him suffer. And what are the eightfold path that he said? Right view. You have to see the right view of yourself and right view of the world. World is ever changing. Don't try to make the experience that you have today will be ever permanent. Everything world is changing. Try to understand this. One is that, right view. Right intention. Whenever you work, do it with right intention, with wholesome intention, with the intention of doing something good to the world. Right speech, the third of the eightfold path. This path will make you get rid of suffering. Right speech. Always speak what is sweet, what is beneficial, what is good. And be careful about what you speak. Very important in human relations. If our human relations are not good, it is very difficult to practice spirituality. We need to be in harmony and friendship with the whole world if we want to control our mind. If we are too much agitated in the reaction to the world, then it is difficult to control the mind and put it towards God or whatever reality at the time. So right speech is very important relation that we have with other person. Buddha told it very nice. Right conduct. How do you conduct your life? That must be wholesome and right. Right livelihood. How do you earn money? That is very important. You should have the right kind of livelihood. Then right effort for the practice of spirituality. That is living a moral life, trying to banish the evil thought and inculcating the good thoughts. Then right mindfulness, that is ever remembering the changefulness of the world. And then comes right meditation, the eightfold path is right meditation. Sit deep and try to go deeper in search of reality, and you are sure to reach there. That's what the Buddha said. When Ananda was crying at the deathbed of Buddha, Buddha lived for 2500 years ago, the life of Buddha was there. Buddha lived for 80 years. When he was dying, Ananda started shedding tears. So I said, why are you crying, Ananda? He said, who will guide us, Lord, when you are gone? Atma Deepo Bhava. You yourself will be guided. Your intellect will be guided. Why do you worry? You have all the powers to be guided by your own intellect. That's what Buddha said, Atma Deepo Bhava. Sri Krishna said, Buddhau Sharanam Anvicha. Take refuge in your buddhi. Your intellect, if it is purified, it will guide you. If we are not sure, we are not pure enough and confident enough in our own intellect to be guided what is right and wrong, what is the way for us in this state when our intellect is not purified totally, then Sharanam Tava Charanam Bhava Haranam Mama Rama. Then God hold up something who can guide you and protect you and save you. O Rama, O Lord, your feet are my refuge. And they will take me across the ocean of this samsara, where I find it so confusing, so difficult to cross over. And when Rama, we can catch the feet of Rama, what will happen? Sampada Tava Sri Pada Bhava Ghosh Pada Variyata. This big world, so difficult, so misleading, so full of suffering, so confusing. This world seems to be so simple, as if the ocean of this world seems to be like a puddle of cow's hoof. The whole ocean of the world, Bhavasagara, seems to be a small puddle of water, where crossing that would be how easy. Only how can that happen? If we can take refuge in the Lord. Take refuge in the Lord, in Rama, Krishna, in Shiva, in Jesus. Follow Guru Nanak's teaching. Worship Allah according to teaching of Quran. Whatever way you take hold of them, you can cross easily. If you are strong enough, you don't believe in that, you have very purified mind by the practice of Ashtanga Yoga. This is Ashtanga Marga. Then take refuge in your own buddhi, Buddha Saranamanicha. Atma, then you will be light unto yourself. And if you light your own light, give that light will give to others. Then what will happen to an awakened man, one who is awake, like Buddha? How will he believe? How will he behave in the world? Advaita sarva bhutanam maitra karunaivacha. That person will have friendly, and will be compassionate with all, and he will have no one whom he will hate in the world. Everyone will be friendly to him. Nirmamo nirahankara samadukha sukakshami. He will be without the feeling of mine, mama. It's mine, this belongs to me, no one can touch. As the child says, no, this doll is mine. We also say the same way. This belongs to me. Too much of clinging to the object of the world, which will be going away, slipping away from the hand. Let it slip away. Nothing is mine. Nirahankara. Not I, always saying I for everything. I achieved this, I did this. Nothing, no idea will be that. There is someone who does for me. God is the doer. I am just the machine. Like that thing will come. Sama dukkha sukha kshami. You will be equal in dukkha and sukha, in suffering and pleasure. Pleasure and pain will be equal. You will start treating both equally, enduring both. And you will be always forbearing, forgiving, kshami. Santushta satatam yogi. You will be always satisfied. Satatam. Not one day satisfied. I have nice food. Today I am in a happy mood. I am not agitated whatever comes. But that person who has woken up, he will be always satisfied with everything. Yogi yatatma dridhanis. And he will firm belief, firm knowledge of the reality that exists, that there is one reality that is common in me and you. Sutre maniganaiva. The common thread runs through the mind of all of us. That common thread is God. God is the reality. Everything external that we see, ever changing, prone to destruction, that is it. Mayyarpita mano buddhi yo mad bhakta same priya. Mana and buddhi is given to me. Yes, totally surrender to God's will. Know that everything, God is the doer, I am not the doer. That type of devotee is dear to me. Sri Krishna in another place says, Name dvesti na priya. No one is dear to me and no one is hateful to me. Here he says that devotee is dear to me. Why this contradiction? What Sri Krishna says is, these are the things one can develop, and that person will become closer to me, and people will feel as if I have graced him. My grace, my blessing is equally for all. This person, by his practice, has gathered my grace, and it feels as if I am dear to him, because I am more manifested through this person. In fact, there is no one who is dear to me or hateful to me. I am equal to everyone. In the eyes of God, we all are equal. However good we are, however sinful we are, God is very equal to us. God is very loving to us. God is very gracious to every one of us. Only it depends on us how much of God's blessing and grace we have accepted. Whether we have unfurled the sail or not. Unfurl the sail, we catch the breeze and go across the samsara. Yo na rishyati na dveshti, na shojati na kamshati. Who doesn't elate, who doesn't avarice, and who doesn't desire. That was Shubha, Shubha Parityagi, another word comes. Who gives up Shubha, auspicious and inauspicious. Because for him nothing is inauspicious. Everything is good. Everything is the work of God. Nothing is my doing. He is not afraid of anything. Totally resigned to the will of God. God is the doer, I am not the doer. Ami jantra, tumi jantri. I am the machine and you are the mechanic. You make me run, that way I run. Total surrender to the will of God. That is a sign of the waking up. And others, when they say, I do, we are asleep. We are in dark. It is night for us. When they say, Lord, you do this, you did that. Whatever happened, you did that. Then we have got up. We all will wake up. Buddha said, this Buddha is a state. It's not person. I have woken up by the practice. You also can wake up. Everyone has the capacity to wake up to the reality. Try that. Practice that. And the grace will come. Buddha didn't say the grace will come, but for us who are not that strong enough, grace is always blowing in the language of Sri Ramakrishna, and we will catch if we could unfurl the sail and try strongly and earnestly and sincerely to catch the breeze of grace of God.